Life in Taiwan, $500 budget, beautiful women and Asia's most shocking secret.
Have you ever heard of a place where you can live comfortably for less than $500 a month? Where your days are filled with street food so tasty it ruins fast food forever? And where the people are so warm and welcoming it almost feels unreal? Welcome to Taiwan. But hold on before you pack your bags, there's something you should know. Because while this island might sound like the dream you've been waiting for, there's a side of it nobody really talks about. A quiet truth that sits just under the surface. And once you see it, it changes how you feel about everything. It sounds almost too good, right? Cheap rent, friendly locals, fresh food on every corner. Some of the most beautiful people in all of Asia. What's the catch? Could paradise really come this cheap? Or is there a price that isn't written in dollars? I came here expecting budget wins and vacation vibes. But what I found, well, it stopped me in my tracks. Because Taiwan isn't just affordable, it's layered. It's emotional. It's got secrets. And by the time we're done, you'll not only know how to stretch $500 into a full lifestyle, but you'll also uncover a story hidden behind all the smiles and street lights. Something that might change how you see not just Taiwan, but the whole idea of travel. Keep watching. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Yes, it's true, you really can live in Taiwan for under $500 a month. And no, this isn't one of those too good to be true backpacker tales with hidden fine print. I'm talking real living. A roof over your head, 3 meals a day, transportation to get around, and even some fun money to enjoy life. Sounds wild, right? Especially when you think about how far $500 goes in most big cities. In New York, that won't even cover a decent parking ticket. In Taiwan, that's your full budget rent, food, travel, and then some. Let's break it down quickly. A one-bedroom apartment in cities like Taiwan or Tainan, around $150 to $300 a month. You want to eat out, street food like dumplings, rice bowls, fried chicken. And the famous beef noodle soup usually costs between $1 and $3. That is not just once a week, that is every day if you want. Transportation? You're looking at around $20 a month if you're using buses or the metro. And if you get a scooter like most locals, it might go up a bit, but still miles cheaper than car payments, gas, and insurance back home. So, where's Taiwan? And why haven't more people talked about it like this? It's a small island just off the southeastern coast of China, often overshadowed by its bigger neighbors like Japan or South Korea. Taiwan quietly sits in the background, peaceful, modern, and surprisingly affordable. But what makes it special isn't just geography, it's the blend of culture that lives here. You'll see Chinese roots in the language and food. Japanese influence still lingers from the colonial period in everything from architecture to manners. And then there are Taiwan's indigenous communities, people with unique traditions and histories that predate it all. It's not just one culture, it's many layered on top of each other, somehow working in harmony. But let me be honest, I didn't come here for a spreadsheet or a cost of living chart. I came because I was tired of stress. I was tired of staring at my bank app, watching it bleed out faster than I could fill it. I wanted to breathe, to walk down a street and not feel like life was sprinting past me. I wanted real connection, real food, and real peace. What I found here in Taiwan, it gave me all of that, and then it gave me something more. Something I didn't expect. And that's where the story really begins. In this video, we are going to walk through everything you need to know how to live well in Taiwan for less than you'd spend on your phone bill, how to connect with the local culture without knowing a word of Mandarin. And yes, we'll talk about the people here too, the beauty, the friendliness, the surprising social energy. But that's just the beginning, because there's also something else I found, a secret most travelers miss. A truth that hides in the background and makes you ask tougher questions. So no, this isn't just a top 10 things to do in Taiwan video. This is the full picture. The good, the cheap, the beautiful, and the uncomfortable. And I promise you, by the time we get to the end, you'll not only understand how to live here, You'll understand what it really means to feel here. Keep watching. Where the $100, $300 gets you a room and a life. Let's be real. One of the first things anyone asks when thinking about moving or traveling long-term is, where am I going to live and how much will it cost me? In most countries, especially in the West, rent eats up a huge part of your paycheck. You work all month just to hand over half your income for walls and a bathroom. Taiwan flips that whole idea upside down. When I arrived in Taiwan, I expected the cheapest place I could find would be a tiny room with no windows and maybe a broken fan. I was wrong. I landed a clean studio apartment for just $280 a month. It had air conditioning, fast Wi-Fi, my own bathroom, a small kitchenette, and even a little balcony. Right downstairs was a 7-Eleven, a bubble tea shop, and a breakfast stall that became my second kitchen. For $280, I wasn't surviving, I was comfortable. Some days, I forgot I was even on a budget. To put that into perspective, in places like New York, London, or Sydney, $180 wouldn't even get you a week's worth of rent in a shared flat, let alone your own space. In fact, in New York, that's around the cost of your monthly electricity and Wi-Fi. In Taiwan, it's your full rent, utilities often included. Now, the cool part is that Taiwan isn't just about one city. While Taipei gets all the attention, places like Kaohsiung, Tainan, and Taichung offer much more affordable living, and they're just as vibrant. Real listings in those cities range from about $180 on the low end to $350 on the higher side. If you're very flexible with your location and don't mind living a little outside the busy center, you can find great deals that are modern, clean, and well-equipped. Many apartments come fully furnished, especially the ones aimed at students and short-term renters. That usually includes a bed, desk, wardrobe, mini fridge, shelves, and sometimes even a TV. Most will have private bathrooms. If not, they'll tell you clearly. And if you're worried about language barriers or contracts, there are English-speaking landlords and agencies that cater to foreigners. Just check the Facebook groups or local rental websites. Here's a tip a lot of people miss: live near a university. Every major city has several big universities, and the areas around them are full of budget-friendly apartments. That's where students live, and where there are students, there are affordable prices, good food, and a fun, social vibe. Even better, landlords in those areas are used to short-term leases and foreign tenants, so the process is smoother. I met an expat named Lisa from Germany who shared a 2-bedroom apartment with another foreign teacher in Tainan, right near National Cheng Kung University. Their total rent, $320 per month. That means each of them paid just $160. They live walking distance from cafes, night markets, and their schools. When I asked her how she found such a cheap place, she said, "I just walked around the university area and checked signs on the buildings. It took a day." Simple as that. Then there's Kevin, a local student I met in Kaohsiung, who shares a 3-bedroom flat with 2 of his classmates. The place is bright, clean, and fully furnished. They each paid $100. Honestly, he told me, "I feel lucky. My friends in Tokyo are paying 3 times this for half the space." Now, what if you want more privacy or want to live alone, but still stay on budget? You can do that too. Studios and small 1-bedroom units are everywhere. In cities like Taichung or Hualien, you can find one for around $150, $300 easily. Sure, it won't be a luxury condo with rooftop views, but it will be quiet, safe, and more than enough for one person. Let's talk amenities. Most apartment buildings have elevators, garbage collection services, secure entry, and sometimes even shared laundry rooms. Some have rooftop areas or small gyms. And utilities? They're usually cheap, $30 to $50 per month for electricity, depending on how often you run your AC. Water and internet are often included. One thing to note, apartments in Taiwan tend to be compact, but very functional. You won't get giant walk-in closets or massive kitchens. But for daily life, it works. It keeps things simple. Plus, with how active the street culture is, you'll probably spend more time outside. Anyway, the biggest shift for me wasn't just about saving money. It was how living cheaply gave me freedom. When your rent is $180, you stop stressing about small things. You stop chasing freelance gigs just to pay rent. You stop skipping meals or canceling plans because you're broke. You breathe easier. You live better. And honestly, there's something humbling about knowing you don't need a fancy apartment to feel happy. I had less space than I did back home, but I felt richer. I had what I needed and more time and energy to explore, meet people, and actually enjoy life. So yeah, $200, $300 doesn't just buy you a place to sleep. It buys you peace of mind. It gives you back control. And in today's world, that might be the most valuable thing of all. Street food and supermarkets. Gourmet on a coin. If there's one thing you should never underestimate about life in Taiwan, it's the food. And not just how good it is, but how unbelievably cheap it can be. You could walk outside with just a few coins in your pocket and come back full and happy. Some days, I honestly wondered how people make money selling meals for these prices. But then I take a bite, smile, and remind myself not to question miracles. Let me walk you through a typical food day that became part of my routine. Breakfast, a hot egg pancake with scallions from a street cart, fresh off the griddle. Cost $1.25 for lunch. Maybe a juicy pork bun and a bowl of noodles with pickled cabbage, about $1.80 together. And dinner? Fried rice with chunks of tender beef and stir-fried vegetables for $2.40. If you're keeping count, that's under $6 for 3 filling meals. And this isn't low quality. Throw it together food. It's flavorful, cooked fresh, and often better than restaurant meals I've paid 10 times more for in other countries. One of the first things that surprised me was how many people eat out regularly. In many parts of the world, cooking at home is what saves you money. In Taiwan, it's almost the opposite. Street food is so affordable and convenient that even locals grab most of their meals outside. You'll see students grabbing dumplings on the way to class, office workers slurping noodles on a stool, and elderly folks sipping hot soy milk in the morning sun. It's part of daily life. Now, supermarkets are there too, of course, and if you like cooking, they've got everything you need. But if you want to take things up a notch, you go to a wet market. These are traditional markets where local farmers and sellers bring fresh vegetables, fruits, meats, and seafood every morning. Prices are lower than in grocery stores, and there's something more human about it. You don't just shop, you chat, laugh, and sometimes even get tips on how to cook the things you're buying. I once went looking for bok choy and ended up being taught how to stir-fry it properly by the vendor herself. She even threw in an extra handful, smiled, and said, "First-time foreigner discount." There's a warmth to how food is handled here, a kind of care. It's not rushed. A vendor once told me, food isn't just business. It's a love language here, and it shows. Whether it's the way they arrange their dumplings in perfect rows or how the soy milk is always poured just a little extra full, you can tell it matters to them. But let's get back to those night markets. If you come to Taiwan and don't visit one, did you even really come? These markets are the heartbeat of the island's food scene. Dozens of vendors line the streets under glowing lights, each with their own specialty. You'll smell grilled squid, bubble tea, stinky tofu, fried chicken, shaved ice, and things you can't even identify, but trust me, you want to try. Some portions are small, so you can hop from stall to stall and try 5 or 6 different things in one evening without breaking your budget or your belt. Now, here's an insider tip I picked up quickly. Go to the night markets after 10 p.m. That's when vendors start offering discounts to clear out what's left. I once got a giant portion of noodles, fried egg, and tofu for $1.20 just because it was late and the seller didn't want to pack it up. If you're not in a rush and like wandering at night, this is the move. Another funny thing I noticed: eating well here doesn't lead to a growing waistline. I spent more money trying to lose weight in Los Angeles than I probably spent gaining it in Taiwan. And the best part? I didn't even gain much. The ingredients are fresh, the portions are balanced, and you do a lot more walking here. It's not the kind of eating that slows you down, it keeps you going. There's also no pressure to tip or buy drinks. Meals are quick, casual, and no one's pushing you to spend more. You can sit on a plastic stool, eat something incredible, and be back on your way in 15 minutes. And the variety, endless. One night it's grilled lamb skewers. The next night it's braised pork rice with pickled veggies. Then maybe a bowl of spicy beef noodles so rich it feels like a hug in a bowl. It's hard to repeat the same meal when there's so much to try. Even supermarkets offer value. Local chains like PX Mart and Welcome carry everything from basic groceries to fresh bakery items. A loaf of fresh bread might cost $1.50. A dozen eggs is under $2. Milk, rice, fruits, it's all affordable if you pick local brands. Imported goods can get pricey. But why buy Kellogg's when the Taiwanese cornflakes taste just as good? Eating well on a tight budget is one of the greatest joys in Taiwan. It doesn't feel like you're sacrificing anything. In fact, you're gaining flavor, connection. Routine food here isn't a chore. It's a highlight of the day. It brings people together, fills streets with laughter, and gives you a real sense of place. And at these prices, there's no guilt, just pure enjoyment. Taiwan taught me that gourmet doesn't have to be expensive. Sometimes, the best meals are cooked on wheels, handed to you with a smile, and eaten while standing by the side of the road. And honestly, that tastes better than any 5-star meal I've had. Transportation. Why you don't need a car? One of the best parts about living in Taiwan is that you don't need a car at all. Whether you're in a big city like Taipei or a smaller one like Tainan, getting around is simple, cheap, and actually kind of fun. Forget gas, parking stress, or surprise car repairs. Here, you've got better options and they won't burn a hole in your pocket. Let's start with the MRT, which is basically the subway or metro system. In Taipei and Kaohsiung, the MRT is super clean, always on time, and easy to use even if you don't speak or read Chinese. The signs are in English, the machines are easy to figure out, and everything is organized. It's the kind of public transport that just works. You never feel unsafe or lost. A single ride usually costs around 60 cents to $1.20 depending on how far you're going. But the smart move is to get a monthly pass, which costs about $40. That gives you unlimited rides and saves you from having to top up all the time. Now, if you're in a city without an MRT system, no problem, there's still plenty of ways to move around. Buses are everywhere and they're cheap. In many places, the first 10 kilometers are even free with an Easy Card, which is the transport card used to cross. Taiwan, it's like magic. You tap it, hop on, and go. Most bus rides are air-conditioned and comfortable. They're great for short distances or getting from the city to a nearby town. But here's where Taiwan gets extra fun: scooters. If you've ever played Mario Kart, riding a scooter in Taiwan kind of feels like that, minus the banana peels and flying shells. Scooters are everywhere. Locals ride them to school, work, dates, grocery stores, basically anywhere. You'll see teenagers, grandparents, and even whole families stacked on one scooter like it's the most normal thing in the world. And the best part, renting one can cost as little as $25 a month. Gas is cheap and parking is easy. Just be sure to wear a helmet and get used to weaving through traffic like a local. For those who don't want to deal with scooters or buses, there's always UBER and local taxis. UBER works just like it does anywhere else, and it's available in most bigger cities. A short ride usually costs between $3 and $7. Taxis are reliable, safe, and metered, no funny business. Some drivers speak a little English, and most are helpful if you show them the address written in Chinese. Just keep in mind that during late night hours or holidays, rates can go up. For longer travel between cities, Taiwan has high-speed rail HSR, which gets you from Taipei to Kaohsiung in under 2 hours. It's more expensive, around $45 for that full trip, but it's fast, smooth, and saves time. If you're not in a rush, you can also take the slower Tier A trains, which cost about half the price and let you see more scenery. Now here is something that made me laugh the first time I thought about it. One MRT ride in Taipei costs about the same as one mouthful of Starbucks coffee back home. I mean, Seriously, why pay $6 for a latte when you can travel across the whole city for less than $1? That's the kind of freedom you don't get in places where owning a car is a must. And it's not just about saving money. Not needing a car also means less stress. No traffic jams to worry about, no monthly car insurance, no repairs. You don't need to think about where to park or what happens if your car breaks down. Instead, you just hop on the train, enjoy the ride, and get where you need to go. It's that simple. Taiwan makes transportation easy, affordable, and hassle-free. Whether you're commuting to work, heading out for dinner, or taking a weekend trip, there's always a way to get there without spending much or stressing out. And in a place where everything else is already affordable, having low-cost transport is just the cherry on top. Connecting with locals, yes. Even if you don't speak Mandarin, one thing people often worry about before coming to Taiwan is the language. Do I need to speak Mandarin? It's a fair question. After all, Mandarin is the main language here. But let me tell you something that might surprise you. Even if you don't speak a single word of Chinese, you'll still be just fine and maybe even better than fine. Making local friends here is not only possible, it's easier than you think. When I first arrived, I had exactly 3 Mandarin phrases in my back pocket. I knew how to say hello, thank you, and where's the bathroom. I thought I was ready to impress. Instead, I ended up accidentally asking someone if there were a bathroom yet. That was day 1, but instead of laughing at me or getting annoyed, the person just smiled and helped me out. That moment was the beginning of a random, unexpected conversation that turned into an invitation to grab lunch. That lunch led to a meetup later in the week with a few of their friends. Before I knew it, I was part of a group chat filled with people who barely spoke English and still somehow made me feel included. Here's the thing about Taiwan. People are friendly, genuinely, not in a fake customer service way, but in a "you're new here, let me help you out" kind of way. I can't count the number of times strangers have gone out of their way to guide me, show me how to use something, or even translate menus for me. Even when I mess up words or mix up tones, they appreciate the effort. One local I met at a coffee shop said, "Even if you say it wrong, we still appreciate the effort." That stuck with me. Of course, it helps to use tools. There are so many language apps out there: Google Translate, Pleco, HelloTalk, and they make life a lot easier. You can type or speak into your phone and show the translation. You'd be surprised how often that leads to funny or sweet conversations. I've had full chats with people just by passing the phone back and forth, each of us smiling at how technology can turn to complete strangers into temporary friends. Another great way to meet people is by spending time in the right places. Cafes here are more than just places to drink coffee. They're social spaces. People go there to study, work, talk, or just chill. If you visit often enough, you'll start to see familiar faces. Say hi, smile. The same goes for co-working spaces, especially if you're a remote worker or digital nomad. They're filled with young locals and expats who are usually open to chatting during breaks or lunch. Community markets are also gold mines for connection. You'll find people selling homemade goods, crafts, or food, and they're usually happy to talk about what they do even if the conversation is broken up by translation apps or gestures. There is something special about buying a handmade item and learning the story behind it directly from the person who made it. That kind of interaction sticks with you. It's also common for locals to be curious about foreigners. Taiwan doesn't get as many tourists as some neighboring countries, so people are often genuinely excited to meet someone from another part of the world. They might ask where you're from, what you think of Taiwan, and if you like bubble tea. It's their way of saying, "We see you, and we're glad you're here." Sure, there will be awkward moments. You'll mess up words. You'll point at things instead of saying them. You might even get laughed at, but not in a mean way. It's part of the charm. Every small success, whether it's ordering food correctly, asking someone's name, or joking around with a new friend, feels like a win. And all of it adds up to something much bigger than just learning words. It becomes about feeling connected. So no, you don't need to be fluent in Mandarin to connect with people in Taiwan. You just need to show up, be kind, be open, and try. That alone is often enough to break the ice. And who knows, The person you ask for directions today might just be the friend who invites you to dinner next week. Beautiful women, polite men, and dating culture. When people talk about Taiwan, they often mention how beautiful the people are, and it's true. But beauty here isn't just about appearance. It's not only about perfect skin or trendy clothes, though you'll see plenty of that. In Taiwan, beauty also comes from how people carry themselves, their politeness, their calm way of speaking, and the care they put into small things. Whether it's the way someone prepares a drink, helps you find your way, or simply says hello, there's a softness in how they treat others that feels rare these days. Women in Taiwan often have a quiet kind of confidence. They dress well, but it's not always flashy. It's more about style than showing off. You'll see a mix of traditional beauty, light makeup, neat hairstyles, modest clothing, and modern touches. Think smart fashion with personal flair. What really stands out, though, is how much effort they put into being respectful and thoughtful. One girl I met said, in Taiwan, it's not just about looking good, it's about feeling comfortable and being kind. That sums it up perfectly. Men in Taiwan also carry themselves with respect. It's common for them to be polite, gentle, and soft-spoken. Don't mistake that for weakness. It's just the way many of them are raised, to be kind, to listen, and to take things slowly if you're used to louder, more direct social styles. This might feel new, but it's actually refreshing. You don't get pressured or rushed here. People take their time, and they really mean what they say. Now let's talk about dating. Because yes, people do date in Taiwan, and it is a little different than what you might be used to in the West. For starters, dating here moves slower. There's less of that match today, date tonight feeling that you get from dating apps in Western countries. It's more thoughtful. People take time to get to know each other before anything romantic happens. A lot of Taiwanese couples start off as friends. They might go on several casual outings before they even consider calling it a date. Public displays of affection are also rare. You won't see people kissing in the streets or hugging all over each other. Holding hands is common, but anything more than that is usually kept private. It's not because people aren't affectionate, they are, it's just more subtle. Feelings are shown through actions, not big gestures. Buying your favorite drink, walking you home, remembering a small detail you mentioned 3 weeks ago, that's romance here. I remember one time, I went out with a local girl I met through a language exchange event. She brought me bubble tea, handed it over with a shy smile, and said, "You looked tired last time." So I thought this might help. Then she told me 3 things foreigners always get wrong about dating in Taiwan. 1. Being too forward too fast. 2. Thinking quiet means uninterested. And 3. Assuming everyone uses dating apps for hookups. We don't, she said. Most people here want something real. Speaking of apps, yes, they exist and they're popular. Tinder works here, just like anywhere else, but it's used differently. Some people use it for serious dating, others for language practice, and some just want to make friends. It's not always about finding love right away. Apps like HelloTalk are more focused on language exchange, but many users end up meeting in real life and forming real connections. Another app called Pairs is known for being used by people who are looking for long-term relationships. So if you're using apps here, be honest about what you want. And don't be surprised if the other person wants to chat for a while before meeting up. Dating culture in Taiwan can feel very different if you're reused to the fast pace of the West. In many places, you meet someone, swipe right, and then the clock starts ticking. It's all about instant chemistry and big first impressions. But here, it's a slow burn. People want to build trust. They want to feel safe and respected. It might feel slow at first, but once that connection starts, it usually means more. You're not just dating a person, you're becoming part of their world. It's also common for people to be a little shy at first, but once they open up, conversations get deeper and you feel more emotionally connected. And it goes both ways. Locals are curious about foreign cultures, and they often want to learn more about you too. Just don't expect things to move quickly. In Taiwan, love is patient, it's kind, it's thoughtful. So if you're someone who enjoys real connection and isn't in a rush, Taiwan might surprise you in the best way. You might come here looking for adventure or new experiences. and end up finding something or someone you didn't expect. Just remember, slow doesn't mean boring. Sometimes, taking your time makes it all more meaningful. Nightlife and the Sidewalk Society. Taiwan really knows how to light up after dark. Nightlife here isn't just about bars and clubs, it's a full experience. From night markets packed with food and laughter to small rooftop parties that feel like a secret, the streets stay alive long after sunset. It is a country where you don't have to go out to feel the vibe. Sometimes, just walking down the right street is enough. Let's start with the night markets, because they are everywhere. These markets are more than food stalls, there where people gather to relax, meet friends, and enjoy life after a long day. For locals, this isn't just eating at social time. Families walk together. Teenagers hang out in groups. Couples stroll hand in hand, and friends catch up over snacks. The smell of grilled meat, sweet desserts, and fried everything fills the air. But it's not just the food, it's the energy. The chatter, the lights, the sounds of cooking, all of it makes the market feel alive. You'll also find that these markets are full of games, small shops, and people just sitting around and talking. It's like the whole city comes outside once the sun goes down. Even if you don't spend $1, it still feels good just to be there. That's what makes it special. It's not about spending. It's about feeling connected. Now, if you want something a little more grown-up, Taiwan has some hidden gems. Taipei especially has a whole scene of quiet bars and rooftop spots that most tourists don't even know about. These aren't loud, crowded places where you scream over music. They're relaxed, stylish, and a bit mysterious. You walk through a back door, or maybe an alley, and suddenly you're in this cozy, dimly lit bar with good music and even better drinks. Locals love these places, and if you're lucky enough to be invited to one, say yes. I once ended up at a rooftop party with a mix of artists, students, and people from all over. Everyone brought snacks or drinks, and the conversations went from music to travel to local gossip. At one point, someone pulled out a microphone, and suddenly it turned into an impromptu karaoke night. I thought I'd get away with just clapping, but no, 5 minutes later, I was in a singing competition. And somehow, I ended up in a drinking contest with a dentist. Yes, a real dentist. She beat me. By the way, Taiwan's nightlife is also surprisingly safe. It's not uncommon to see solo female travelers walking home late at night without any worry. People are respectful, the streets are well lit, and public transport runs late. I've heard from many women who said they felt safer here than in their own countries. That says a lot about how the society works. There's a strong sense of public respect. What I love most is how the city feels like it gets a second wind at night. While some places slow down, Taiwan wakes up in a different way. Whether it's students eating hot pot at midnight, delivery drivers taking a break on the curb, or old friends chatting over tea in a corner shop, the night has its own rhythm. Someone once said to me, the city sleeps, but only after midnight hot pot. And I couldn't agree more. There's always something going on, and you're never too late to join in. And the best part, you don't have to plan anything. You can just walk out your door and follow the sounds, smells, and lights. Whether you end up at a night market, a quiet rooftop, or in a random karaoke moment with strangers, it all feels natural. Taiwan's nightlife isn't about getting wild, it's about being part of something, even for just a night. And once you've felt that energy, it's hard to forget. Shocking secret revealed. What's hiding in plain sight? Everything looked perfect. To perfect. I was eating $2 dumplings, walking through spotless streets, chatting with friendly strangers, and feeling like I had found some kind of paradise. Life felt easy, simple, safe, and yet, the more time I spent in Taiwan, the more I started to notice little cracks, tiny signs that something deeper was going on beneath the surface. It wasn't something anyone talked about out loud. It wasn't in the brochures or blogs or travel guides, but it was there, hiding in plain sight. At first, it came up in small moments. A news story I didn't fully understand, a museum with an exhibit that felt a little too quiet, conversation that suddenly turned awkward when I asked a question. It was like being in a movie where the background looks too perfect, too clean until you realize that some things are missing. That's when I started to ask myself, What am I not seeing? One of the first things I stumbled upon was Taiwan's indigenous history. There are 16 officially recognized indigenous groups in Taiwan, and their presence goes back thousands of years long before Chinese settlers arrived. These groups have their own languages, customs, spiritual beliefs, and traditional ways of life. They lived in harmony with the land, in mountains, and coastal areas, and had rich oral histories passed down through generations. But today, many of those traditions are at risk. Over the years, indigenous people have lost large parts of their land. Some were pushed out by development, others by politics. Younger generations often move to cities for work and lose touch with their roots. Some don't even speak their native languages anymore. In many places, traditional ceremonies are now only performed for tourists or special events, not because the community is still living them daily. I visited one indigenous village tucked in the mountains of eastern Taiwan. The people were warm, proud, and eager to share their culture. But there was a sadness in their words too. One elder told me, "We are still here, but fewer people are listening." He explained how the forest they used to hunt in is now restricted, how traditional farming has been replaced by government programs, and how their youth feel disconnected. It hit me hard. I came here enjoying cheap meals and peaceful streets while people like him were quietly watching their culture fade away. And then there's the political side. Taiwan is not China, but that line is thin and constantly under pressure. Locals live with a strange balance. Their country has its own government, elections, currency, and passports. Yet many international organizations still don't recognize Taiwan as fully independent. Some countries don't even list Taiwan as a separate option in forms or systems. Ask locals how they feel about it, and you'll get a mix of pride and frustration. Some worry that saying too much could bring trouble. Others are tired of being treated like they don't exist. The fear isn't loud, but it's there. It shows up in jokes, in whispers, in cautious words. You might hear someone say, "We love our country, but we don't know what tomorrow brings." Taiwan lives in the shadow of tension, always wondering what could happen if political pressure gets worse. And yet, the people go on working, smiling, making art, raising families. There's strength in their silence, but that silence is still part of the story. And if that wasn't enough, there's one more layer: the environment. Taiwan is known for its natural beauty, mountains, rivers, forests, and beaches. But behind those postcard images, there's a growing problem. Some rivers, once sacred to indigenous communities, are now polluted by factories. Coastal areas have been damaged by overdevelopment. Plastic waste is a daily issue. One local environmentalist I met said, "We clean the streets well, but the damage is still happening where people don't look." She showed me photos of a river near her village once clean and full of fish, now brown and lifeless. The government talks about sustainability, and there are great recycling programs in cities. But the truth is more complicated. Like many places around the world, Taiwan is struggling to balance growth with preservation. And sometimes, the natural world loses. It felt strange. I was enjoying life on a budget, eating tasty snacks, and soaking in the views while parts of this same land were slowly disappearing. I kept asking myself, how can I eat $2 dumplings and ignore a disappearing people? How do I enjoy this country and still respect the parts of it that are hurting? This is the side of Taiwan you often hear about. It's not dramatic or loud. It doesn't shout for attention, but it matters. It's the quiet side, the one with disappearing languages, uncertain politics, and rivers that no longer flow the way they used to. It's easy to come here and only see the surface, but once you notice what's underneath, you can't unsee it. And honestly, I think that's okay. It doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy Taiwan. It means you should enjoy it with your eyes open. Appreciate the food, the safety, the kindness, but also remember the stories behind the smiles, the history behind the quiet, the people still fighting to hold on to what matters. This secret isn't really a secret. It's just a part of the picture that often gets left out. But once you know it's there, you start to listen differently. You ask better questions. You walk a little slower. And maybe, just maybe, you become not just a traveler but someone who truly sees. Cost of happiness. What money can't measure. Living cheap doesn't mean living empty. That's something I learned quickly in Taiwan. At first, I was excited about the low prices, the rent, the food, the transport, everything felt like a win. But after a while, I realized that the real value of this place wasn't just in the savings. It was in the way people lived, slower, calmer, more connected. And strangely enough, those things started to matter more than the money. One afternoon, I met an older man sitting outside a tea shop. He lived in a small town near the mountains and told me he had retired a few years ago. His total monthly spending was around $400. That covered everything: his food, rent, transport, and even some fun money. He smiled as he told me, "I don't need much. I have tea, friends, and quiet mornings. What else do I need?" And you know what? He meant it. There was a calm in his voice that made me pause. He wasn't rushing anywhere. He wasn't checking his phone. He was just there, present, peaceful, content. That moment made me ask myself something I hadn't thought about in a long time. What really makes life feel full? Is it the stuff we buy, the memberships, the fast deliveries, the non-stop entertainment? Or is it the feeling of having enough and not being pulled in 10 directions all the time? Would you trade Amazon Prime for real community? Would you give up next day shipping if it meant knowing your neighbor? Greeting the same street vendor every morning? Or having the time to sit for an hour and do nothing at all without feeling guilty? In Taiwan, people value different things. Life isn't built around chasing more all the time. There's a deep respect for simplicity. You don't see people constantly bragging about being busy or posting every second of their day. Many people care more about sharing a meal than showing off. A walk in the park, a conversation over tea, a quiet moment with family. That's the good stuff here. Social care also plays a role. There's an unspoken sense of responsibility. People look out for each other. Elderly people are respected. Neighbors still talk to one another. Even in big cities, you'll find that people stop to help when someone drops something or looks confused. It's not loud or flashy, but it's there. It feels safe and human. The pace is slower too, and that changes everything. In many Western cities, the speed of life is overwhelming. Everyone's rushing. Deadlines, traffic, screens, alerts. It never stops. You work hard just to take a break, and when you finally rest, you're too tired to enjoy it. In Taiwan, I noticed that people still work hard, but they don't seem as drained. They take their time. Meals are savored. Shops open later. People stop to chat instead of rushing past. It's not lazy, it's balanced. And here's the twist that really stuck with me. Maybe we in the West are addicted to fast living, and we don't even realize it. We think we need to do more, earn more, buy more just to be successful. But what if that's just noise? What if peace, joy, and connection come from less, not more? Taiwan reminded me that happiness isn't always tied to big goals or big paychecks. Sometimes, it's found in a quiet walk, a simple bowl of noodles, or a friendly smile from a stranger. Sometimes, it is just knowing that your life fits you, that you don't have to fight it every day. So yes, living cheap is great, but living fully? That's something money can't measure. And Taiwan, somehow, gives you both. Would you really move here? Let's be honest. So, after hearing all this, you might be wondering, could I really move to Taiwan? Would it work for me long term? That's a fair question on the surface. It sounds amazing. Cheap cost of living, friendly people, amazing food, and beautiful places to visit. But like anywhere else, Taiwan has its ups and downs. It is important to look at both the good and the challenging sides before making any big decisions. Let's start with the pros, because there are a lot of them. First, Taiwan is affordable. You already know that you can live well here on less than $500 a month if you raise smart about your choices. Rent is low, food is cheap, and public transportation is reliable and budget-friendly. That alone makes it easier to enjoy your life without always stressing about money. Second, it's safe. Taiwan is one of the safest countries in the world. You can walk around at night without feeling nervous. People don't start fights in public. There's a calm feeling in the streets, even in big cities. Parents let their kids ride bikes alone. People leave phones or wallets on tables and don't worry too much. It's the kind of safety that helps you relax and breathe. Third, the people are kind and welcoming. Even if you don't speak the language, locals will often try to help. They'll smile, use translation apps, or even walk with you to make sure you find your way. You'll feel respected as long as you show respect in return. There is a quiet warmth in Taiwanese culture that doesn't need big words to be felt. And of course, the food is incredible. Whether you eat at night markets, small noodle shops, or cafes, the food is full of flavor and doesn't cost much. You'll never get bored with what's on your plate. The variety is huge, and there's always something new to try. But now let's be honest about the downsides, too. Taiwan is not perfect, and it's better to know what to expect than to arrive with rose-colored glasses. First, the language barrier is real. Outside of major cities or tourist spots, many people don't speak much English. Daily tasks like going to the doctor, handling bills, or reading signs can be hard at first. It's not impossible, but it takes patience. You need to learn some basic Mandarin or have translation apps ready. Second, there are visa limitations. Taiwan makes it easy to visit, but staying long-term can be tricky. Tourist visas don't last forever. You need to look into work visas, student visas, or other legal ways to stay longer. Some digital nomads do visa runs leaving the country every few months and coming back, but that is not a long-term solution. Third, culture shock is real. Things are different here. Social rules, personal space, ways of expressing emotions, they all vary from what you might be used to. You might feel lonely at first or frustrated by how slowly some things move. You might miss certain foods, holidays, or even just the way people joke in your home country. That's part of the adjustment. It's not a deal breaker, but it takes time to feel truly settled. There is a quote I once heard from someone who'd been living in Taiwan for a while. This isn't heaven, but it's pretty close if you show respect, and I think that's the key. Taiwan offers a lot, but it's not a place to treat like a vacation forever. It's a place with its own rhythm, rules, and ways of doing things. If you're willing to learn and adapt, it can feel like home. I met a digital nomad named Sarah who originally came to Taiwan for just 2 weeks. She wanted a break from fast life and noisy cities. That was 3 years ago. She's still here. She told me, I came for peace and stayed because this place felt honest. I wasn't looking for perfect, I was looking for real. And I found it, so would you really move here? Only you can answer that. But if you're someone who values calm over chaos, community over crowds, and good food over fancy stuff, then maybe, just maybe, Taiwan might be exactly what you've been looking for. What changed me forever when I first came to Taiwan? I was just looking for a cheap place to live. I had no deep plan, no big goals, I just wanted to survive without going broke. I was tired of expensive rent, tired of rushing through life, and honestly, just tired in general. So when I heard that Taiwan was safe, friendly, and affordable, I booked a ticket. That was it. I came here as a budget hunter, hoping to make my dollars stretch a little further. But what happened next, I never saw coming. At the beginning, every day felt like a price check. I would compare everything to my home country. Rent, half the price. Lunch, a third of the price. Public transport, cheaper than a cup of coffee. I was constantly doing math in my head, like I was playing some kind of financial game. But slowly, without even noticing, that started to fade. One day, I bought lunch, sat down to eat, and realized I hadn't converted it into USD in my head. That small moment hit me hard. I had stopped thinking like a visitor. That's when I knew I was changing. Taiwan didn't just help me save money, it helped me slow down. It taught me how to enjoy life without rushing to the next thing. I started paying attention to small details, how people greet each other, how shop owners remember your favorite order, how a quiet street corner can feel like the most peaceful place in the world. I stopped trying to get the most out of every moment and instead just let the moments be. I also began to see beyond the easy parts. It's one thing to enjoy cheap dumplings and friendly smiles. It's another to notice the stories behind them. Every time I visited a market, every time I spoke to a street vendor or shared tea with a neighbor, I began to understand more. Many of these people work long hours for very little. Some are carrying traditions passed down for generations, fighting to keep them alive. Others have seen their communities change in ways they didn't ask for. Every cheap meal has a story behind it, and once you really see that, the food tastes different. The place feels deeper. You stop seeing it as just cheap and start seeing it as human. One of the biggest changes in me was the way I started looking at value. In the past, I always thought more meant better, more money, more stuff, more action. But Taiwan taught me the beauty of enough. A simple apartment can feel like home. A slow morning walk can feel like a gift. A small group of real friends can fill your world with more joy than 1,000 online followers. I didn't just save money here. I found space to breathe. There's a phrase I thought of one night, sitting on a bench after a quiet dinner. It's not the cost. It's the cost of not knowing. That's the real danger going through life without seeing what's around you, without asking what stories are hiding behind the things we take for granted. Coming to Taiwan opened my eyes. It gave me more than good food or affordable rent. It gave me a better way of seeing, and that's what I hope people understand. This isn't just about travel or money. It's about noticing, paying attention, feeling something real. Taiwan changed me because it gave me room to grow. It showed me that happiness doesn't have to be big or loud. It can be quiet, simple, and shared with strangers who become friends. So now, when people ask me what I got out of living here, I don't talk about the rent or the weather or the food, even though those things are great. I tell them, Taiwan gave me back my time, and it helped me remember what really matters, and that's something I'll carry with me forever. So now that you've seen what life in Taiwan can really look like, let me ask you something simple. You've got 530 days. What would you do in Taiwan? How would you spend your mornings, your nights, your weekends? Would you try new food every day? Would you visit the mountains, the coast, or the busy streets of Taipei? Would you try to learn a few Mandarin phrases or get lost in the night market? Would you just sit with a tea and watch the world go by? This isn't a test. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to know if you had the chance to be here, right now. How would you spend your time? What would matter most to you? Comment below with your 7-day dream itinerary. List out the meals you want to try, the places you love to see, the kind of people you hope to meet. Be honest, be fun, be curious. And if you're not sure where to start, just write down the one thing you want to experience first. I'll be reading and replying. Who knows, maybe I'll give you a few extra tips or point you towards something most tourists miss. And if someone comes to mind while watching this, someone tired, someone overworked, someone looking for something more in life, don't just send them this video. Ask them one question. Could you live here? Not could you visit, but could you actually live here? Could this life, this slower, calmer, kinder version of life, be something they need? This video isn't about showing off. It's not about making anyone jealous. It's about offering another way of looking at the world. A reminder that you don't have to always chase more to have enough. That happiness might not cost as much as we think. That some of the richest moments in life come from the simplest places. So here's your real call to action. Don't just watch, think, reflect. Write something down. Start a real conversation in the comments. Maybe it's your dream plan. Maybe it's your fear. Maybe it's just a feeling you can't quite explain. That's okay. The point is, engage with the idea, not just the screen. Because this isn't just a video, it's an invitation. Taiwan is waiting, but only if you're ready to look beyond the postcard.